Welcome to Coachable Wealth, where we blend the worlds of sports and finance to bring you strategies as you navigate your wealth building journey. Now let's get to it.
Welcome to another episode of Coachable Wealth.
It's been a good year so far. Midway through February, Super Bowl just ended not too long ago. What are we, halfway through the Olympics? It's been a good start to the year.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the Olympics so far. In past, I feel like Olympic Games I haven't watched as much, but I feel like just maybe it's just because it's been so cold around here and there's like nothing else to do during the week. But I don't know, during the evening I've watched it quite a bit when they come in the air like 8 o'clock.
Everybody likes curling.
I honestly don't know like all the rules.
I definitely don't.
But you see the Canadians like got caught
Maddie
cheating.
and I were talking about that this morning. Yeah. Did they get a medal and did it get taken, or is it just like rumors back and forth?
I think it's just rumors at this point.
But I saw the video. It certainly looked like he touched the what is it called?
The hog line or something like that.
Whatever.
The green hog. Yeah. I think it is the hog
what's
line.
the thing called that they throw?
Yeah, I know. The brush and the...
I don't know what the
I know what you're talking about.
Thing is. Yeah.
I would say my favorite event, though, has been the downhill alpine skiing. Just because they go like 90, 95 miles per hour.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
and they do it like how long? It's not like it's only like a 30-second thing. They're doing it for minutes at a time, right? Like how long are those races?
They're a couple minutes.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe like 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah.
2-3 minutes. And it's not like they're going straight. They're turning and everything. Like, which unfortunately, if they have accidents like Lindsey Vonn, it doesn't end up being a not severe injury.
I think another cool thing is just kind of the advancements of like the drones.
Yeah.
Just the aerial shots as they're coming down the mountain. It's pretty cool.
Or I like the speed skating. The U.S. seem to be doing pretty well, like having the drones right behind them. They're going, I don't know, 50 miles per hour, maybe faster speed skating, which is...
Can you imagine the strength like in their legs though?
Oh.
Like just like, because they have to produce all that speed.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, because they like run for a little bit and then it's just straight skating the entire time. Yeah, it's wild. But we're talking about patience, and obviously the Super Bowl just ended not too long ago. Talk about patience for the Olympics. You have to wait every 4 years to have a shot.
I know. I heard commentators talking the other night. I don't know, it's probably this past weekend. They're figure skating, and the favorite from the United States, like everyone had him to win gold.
I saw that. He was like a heavy favorite.
Yes. And then like honestly, like everyone fell, including the individual from the United States.
Did he medal?
No.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think in the team, the doubles, whatever they call it, the synchronized skating, I think they won. They placed in that, but the single, no.
Wow.
But they were saying just like you can prepare all you want. Like go out there day in and day out and just kind of do your routine and stuff like that. But until you actually get to that like event center and feel the pressure, like on that global stage, they said there's like nothing that you can prepare yourself.
That's kind of like us as financial advisors. When we work with clients, obviously we're going through these scenarios year over year with multiple clients, but for each individual client, hopefully they're only retiring once. So like that is a huge stressor for them. And even though we may know they're fine financially, majority of the situation is mental, what they're going to do with their time, talking through the game plan of, all right, you're going to take this much every single month and you are going to be perfectly fine. Like it may seem like we know and we feel confident, but sometimes the client doesn't, just because it's only one time that they're ever going to do it. Like that's a huge stressor.
Right. Yeah. And just think of all the variations of the scenarios of the stress testing we do.
Yeah.
Just all the variables that kind of go into like your retirement. I mean, it could be a 30+ year working career, your savings rates, good volatility, which we can't always control, but we can control like diversification.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many different variables that
talk about patience. You're patient your whole entire working career, 30 to 40 years, waiting for this one opportunity or one time to retire and hopefully never have to worry about money ever again. Not even just not worried about running out of money, but being able to do the goals that you want to do, whether it's helping your kids, grandkids, buying a vacation house, traveling the world. Like those are all major goals for a lot of our clients. So having that patience and then being prepared, like you said, for when the opportunity comes, this is what you prepared for so long.
It's interesting too. I was just thinking back from a couple of the like past meetings we've done. And yeah, we plan for like a targeted retirement day, say 65. Chances are, I mean, maybe a year or so before, they'll give you a call and say, hey, maybe I want to retire a little earlier, or maybe like you said, maybe I want to do some lifetime gifting to the kids. But I think that just comes back to the importance of having that full-fledged plan in place that we can use as a decision maker to help them like make those decisions going forward. Because if we didn't, I wouldn't say we'd be guessing, but it'd be a lot more strenuous on our end.
Oh yeah, trying to get everything up and running really quick isn't. I mean, it's not that it's really hard, but it's not easy, and all we don't have the understanding of knowing the client for multiple years and getting to know them personally, because that does make a big difference too. Like they may say they can take on the risk of the stock market, but then when we have a situation like we did last year in the first quarter going into the second quarter and we sell off 20% in 2 weeks, we can really, tell during that time if they can handle the volatility. So being prepared and having the patience is.
No, it's a great point. If you think about it, like an athlete, I mean, just you have the physical side and the mental side or the emotional side. I mean, it's both. I mean, it's physically draining, emotionally draining. Even if you win, it's still physically, emotionally draining. And just think of a retiree, someone approaching retirement. I mean, they've worked for all those years, and then they have all the mental framework and emotions within them.
Multiple times the client may be perfectly fine physically to keep working, but they're mentally drained, or the complete opposite, that they're physically, they can't do it. They can't travel as much, or they don't want to travel as much. Like that's obviously a grind. So being prepared is really important. Same with, as you said, the athletes.
I always think back, like preparation. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. You were there. We went to an industry conference in Philadelphia, and the closing speaker on the last day was Michael Phelps. And I remember him talking through like his 4 year journey for each Olympic event. And he said it literally started 4 years out at like wherever he was living at the time at the training facility. And every day he got up and he's like, these are the events I'm gonna like swim. And every day he just rehearsed this. Same thing, day in and day out, like 5 a.m. just to shave off. Like, well, one, you want to get like your strokes down, make sure your foundation is good, but just to shave off like a hundredth of a second, tenths of whatever it may be to get to like that world record.
Yep. He has the most medals by far by any other.
So
Yeah. He has, I think, over 20, right?
I think so.
Because he was in 5 Olympics or 4? Maybe more. I don't know, but he was so good for so long. But going back to what you said, he was doing it to shave off just a little bit every single time. That's kind of what we talk about on the financial plan. Like when you have bull markets, shave off a little bit of stocks, go back into fixed income. When you have downturns, sell a little bit of fixed income, buy the stocks, reduce on the upside. When we go through the financial plan, maybe we're not making huge changes, but little changes you make over time can make a huge difference. Whether it's, doing a backdoor Roth that's potentially only $7,000 to $8,000 a year. If you're doing that for 20 to 30 years with the compounded interest over time, that could be, $500 to $1 million in tax-free assets. Little tweaks like that can make a huge difference, which obviously all these athletes are doing, not only on the Olympics, but the Super Bowl just happened to. Like they're doing little tweaks, both on the athlete side, but then also like the team as a whole, like trying to save money so they can sign more players. All the little tweaks can make a huge difference, but you have to have the patience because a lot of it is not going to come like that. You hear the freak situations of, oh, this Olympian just picked up this sport like a couple years ago, but majority of them are like, oh yeah, they've been doing this since they were 3 and now they're 30. So they've been doing it for over 20 years. Yeah, patience it's easy to talk about, but obviously it's hard to put into practice, but it's important.
Yeah. I feel like obviously every team athlete kind of goes into an event with like a game plan. And I was just trying to think back of some of the details that we deal with like in the financial planning world. And we spend a lot of time on like a 5 year snapshot.
Yep.
And that's kind of like I think a starting point for a game plan where we can see, hey, here's your portfolio assets. Here's your cash inflows, cash outflows, portfolio growth. We can kind of see everything that's going in there in the next 5 years. And I think from there, we can, like you said, find out what's advantageous to maybe make a change or maybe something there's a weakness in there. But I think just looking at this game plan or snapshot, we can make a lot of recommendations out of there. And a lot of times it's small tweaks.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a really good point. I think one of the other major benefits of the 5 year cash flow If we're showing, because we have all the income, expenses, as you said, the portfolio growth rate, if we're showing maybe someone who's making a good living, they have a net cash flow of 50 to 100,000, we're saying they're already saving 100,000 in the background, plus they have that net cash flow. We go through the recommendations of what to use that for. If we know they're perfectly fine if they don't save all of that, that gives them the flexibility that, hey, we know we can spend some of this, whether it's for our kids to travel more, like giving them the clarity that they can, spend more money. They don't have to save every single penny that they make to retire one day. Like, enjoy the money now too, because that's obviously important, instead of having the patience to not spend any money for 30 years. So eventually, save it into retirement.
I think it 100% does give them like the peace of mind to say, hey, we're in great shape. And I also think it sets like an expectation. I know you talk about like expectation on like investments, but I don't know. So many people think they need like 10, 11, 12% annual returns, but realistically you don't. Once you get to a certain point, you can get to 6%, 7% and be perfectly fine.
Say you have $3 million and you get 6%, $3 million of investable assets, 6% is $180,000. So if you're looking at that plus Social Security, potentially other income, that's a very good retirement income without even having to touch the principal. That patience over time gives you a lot of flexibility in retirement. Speaking of patience, I know not on this podcast, we haven't yet, but we talked about dynasties, both on college football, also on the NFL. We haven't really, well, I guess the Chiefs is the most recent dynasty, but it wasn't very long term. I mean, they're still good. Like I would say for the Olympics, majority of them probably aren't coming back in the next 4 years. Obviously, Michael Phelps he was definitely a dynasty on the swimming side. But for a lot of these people, it's just this 1 4-year slot they have, and then that's it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think, I was trying to think back to I would say Michael Phelps' dynasty. It's a multi-year event run. I mean, the Patriots, Chicago Bulls, I guess the Chiefs was a mini one.
Alabama football was there for
Alabama,
a while.
well, they won 6 national championships. I think there's a little, I think there's a little luck involved.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Just when you can kind of obviously get the right head coach can get like that 1 or 2 players to kind of keep that run going. So I think there's a little luck in there, but a lot of it, I mean, I think it's got to be like a strong game plan, strong foundation. And they really like a Nick Saban. This is my foundation. This is how I'm going to run the show.
Oh, yeah, I think the foundation is probably the most important, because I would say almost every single dynasty, they probably had the same head coach throughout it. Yeah. Like when we think about the Bulls, they had the same head coach. Alabama had the same head coach. I don't know about Michael Phelps. I assume he had the same trader and head coach. It's kind of a one-man, obvious people in the background, but yeah, I would say the foundation's the most important. Not only just the head coach, but also the team aspect too. Like if the Patriots, for an example, weren't willing to spend the money up to the market cap every year, you're not going to continue to get good players for Tom Brady, which is probably why the Chiefs didn't make it this year. They didn't get Patrick Mahomes wide receivers.
Right.
So they didn't have the aspects to, give the foundation more help. So
I think too, I mean, we talked about compounding like in the portfolio side, but I think also compounding of successes happens in sports too. It's like contagious. And I also think it creates like those actionable consistencies. Like I'm sure Nick Saban was preaching like discipline, and I'm sure he wanted everything to be like perfect.
Yep.
And I'm sure if it wasn't, he's out there screaming. I mean, you see clips of like when he was out there in the practice field and that, or even in his press conferences, he would just lay into a player or ref or whoever it may be. But I mean, I think that's all like to create those consistencies and like discipline.
And you have to take advantage of the good times. Like, sure, it may be a little bit lucky, but you have to take advantage of it. So especially in today's environment in college football and college basketball with all the NIL, like if you have a very good year, you have to take advantage of it, fundraising, using it to get recruits, because year over year, you're going to have a lot of turnover. So it's going to be really hard to create dynasties in college football now.
Did you hear Bryce Harper said yesterday or the day before? Kind of was talking about the Dodgers.
No.
So they asked him about just what's your opinion on the Dodgers and salary cap, stuff like that, how they just buy their teams. Which I 100% agree with what he said. He said he actually respects what they're doing. He goes, what people don't realize is the Dodgers have like the best farm system in scouting
Yeah,
because
exactly. Yep.
they know how to bring in players and they develop those players. And then once they're developed, they can trade them off for some of these big time stars. And he goes, yeah, they might have the upper hand in like money, like in the finances, but they also have this farm system with these top notch talent and they can put these deals together for these top notch players.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And then, as we were saying, they take advantage of the upside. They're able to get some of these players from overseas for cheaper than what you have to pay. Some of these, obviously, they're still giving them a ton of money. Like Otani's by far the largest contract in MLB history. And then same with, who's the pitcher? Yamamoto.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before he even pitched a game in the MLB, didn't he get like 300 million or something? So they're still giving him a ton of money, but it's not as much as some of these not regular, but these players from the US are getting.
Right.
But yeah, as you said, like honestly did not realize they had the number one farm system, I think till like a month ago. And I was like, oh my gosh, they have the best team and they have the best farm system.
I also heard Bryce kind of hit it at yesterday or the day before that they have the money to buy these players, but they reinvest the most money into their player development system. So that's hence is why they have these awesome facilities for their minor leaguers and probably all over, like Japan and all that.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just in the US anymore. They have all these teams, I assume, have, out in Asia. They have down in Dominican Republic in South America, Latin America. Yeah.
But that's the foundation.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the plan. Like they built this plan to create these successes.
Yeah, if the owner wasn't willing to shell money back into the, team, that's not going to work over time. It'll be interesting as a Phillies fan, knock on wood. Hopefully the Dodgers don't turn into a dynasty because that means the Phillies aren't going to make a World Series. But they definitely have as we were talking about, the foundation to go far, hopefully.
I am excited. The influx of some of the younger talent.
Yeah,
We've been
for the
hearing about it
Phillies.
for years.
Yeah.
And they're finally going to get them up there and let them prove they can play at that level.
Hopefully we'll see the patience is paying off for some of these guys because instead of us going to sign another top starting pitcher or a top center fielder, they're like, let's see if the patience for these young guys is paying off, which I agree with. Like eventually you have to see if they're going to play out or not. Like they're continue to be in the top 50 prospects in MLB. Give them a shot. That's honestly why I was a little frustrated last year that the Phillies didn't give Crawford a spot to even just be up there for a month. You most likely knew he was going to be the starting fielder for 2026. He hasn't came up to the MLB at all.
Right. It does show you though, like teams, I guess the Eagles kind of, for example, like you could have success one year and the next year it's a whole different ballgame. I mean, if you make one wrong roster mistake, have a couple obviously bad games, stuff like that, it just derails the whole plan.
100%.
Lack of communication, the coaching staff, stuff like that. I mean, it's
or lack of communication, whether it's miscommunication. There was multiple points last year where AJ Brown looked like it was going to be a disaster to the locker room. Luckily, it didn't turn into that. There's still rumors that the Eagles may trade him this offseason, but one little thing like that can make a huge difference because obviously he's a crazy good wide receiver.
Right.
But if he's, feuding with the head coach and the quarterback, that's obviously not going to be a good situation. If you're not talking to your advisor, they're not talking to the investment guy. Like you all have to be on the same page. You have to be on the same page with the state attorney, with their CPA. Like it's important that everybody's on the same page when you're building out the holistic financial plan.
So true, because especially nowadays, I mean, I guess it's always been like this, but like everything's in lockstep with one another. What we do as wealth planners, there's a whole estate planning on the estate planning attorney side, your CPA, tax planning, everything's kind of in rhythm. And you're 100% right. If there is a lack of communication or a lack of transparency sharing like information, it could have negative impacts on your long-term goals. I mean, especially annual taxes or not updating your beneficiaries on IRAs or life insurance, stuff like that. I mean, if that communication's not being completed or had, I mean, there could be negative conflict. Like
one little thing like that could make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Which is sad to think about, but it's true. That's why you have to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Retirees, I think 3 to 5 years out is kind of sweet spot
Yeah, to
to
start
kind of
working,
start
like
preparing.
really diving
Yep.
into, yeah.
Yep. I mean, I think that way you get your hands on the overall picture. And if there are changes to be made, you still have enough time to make those tweaks.
Yep.
I think too, just the last couple meetings you and I had together, just like asset location.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of putting 100% of your savings in like a pre-tax 401k, there's different options out there that could create a better retirement paycheck, more
Yeah,
options.
exactly. It's not that they're not going to be okay, but if you build in different options or investment strategies, you can have way more flexibility. Whether that's, a down payment on another house, whether that's a second house or moving, or, having more money to give to your kids. Because if you have everything into a pre-tax and you want to give money to your kids, you have to pay the taxes to give them money from your bank account. Or if you have it in a brokerage account, you could have the capital gains, but that's a much lower tax bracket compared to income tax. So it's little things like that over time that can make a huge difference, which you have to have that patience.
And those are items that, as the financial advisor and the client, have total control over.
Yep.
So I mean, those are tweaks that can be identified and made pretty easily.
No, that's a good point. Unfortunately, we do not have control over what the stock market does.
Right.
We have control over the asset allocation and doing the tactical rebalancing, when it makes sense. But if the stock market's up 30% 1 year, awesome. If it's down 30%, yes, there's things we can do, but we don't have control over it in that single year. We're controlling how much you have in stocks and how much you have in this account compared to that account. Those are all things that you can control, which is the same if you go back to sports. They can obviously control how hard they're working over time. They can't control how tall they are, how fast they are. Obviously, they can try to make it a little bit like their speed a little better, but there's only so many things you can control. Which one of the things that I thought about when we were talking about patience and we briefly talked about the Phillies is bringing up some of the younger players. How do you compare like player development compared to like compounding over time, whether it's actually on the investing side or just compounding, like trusting your advisor, the communication, like making sure that everybody's all on the same page. How each other thinks. Like I think that is really, really important, especially as you get closer to retirement.
Trust and communication is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of almost the nuts and bolts of the relationship right there. I mean, chances are, I mean, first meeting, you're going to be communicating, but I think you should progress through that relationship cycle.
Yep.
Obviously, those open lines of communication, trust are going to be built up. And I think by the time you have the financial plan built, maybe it could be like a year out, trust is built up, those lines of communication are open. And then I think it's a two-way communication field where if you have, we have questions as advisors, feel comfortable to reach out to the client to ask or say, hey, have you thought about this? Vice versa. If you're the client, hey, I'm going to ask Cody this question. I'm going to give him a call quick.
And I think it's not just even one-to-one. It's like the entire team. So whether I'm on vacation or you're on vacation, most likely there's always somebody else in our office that's read into the plan that they can at least help and give. If they're not very detailed, they can at least give high-level responses. Same on any sports team. There's multiple people read in. So that is really important. And then we've been talking a lot about it internally, is making sure both spouses are in the picture. Like we understand that, sometimes there's one spouse that's way more engaged than the other, but at least have a relationship with both spouses. God forbid something were to happen to one of the other ones. Like that is really, really important.
Again, that comes back to that open lines of communication. Yeah, generally there's one spouse that's a little more heavily involved in their finances, but it is so important to have both spouses at the table in the meetings. And we're going to run through, again, we talked about stress testing, but we're going to run through risks. We're going to talk about the good and bad. And I think as long as that's like all out there, it creates that peace of mind, confidence that like if something does happen to one of the spouses, unfortunately, that the other one's going to be okay and their family. And those are all conversations that we have.
And I always say, because, every once in a while you have the person say, this is a dumb question. It's like, no question's a dumb question. Like everybody has to start somewhere. When I go to the doctors, I'm sure every single question I ask, they probably are like, this is such a basic question. It's like, well, I don't have a good understanding of it. So it's the same of when people ask us questions. Like no question is a dumb question. That's what we're here for.
And I get it too, like why one spouse is more heavily involved than the other.
Yeah.
Just day-to-day life is hectic.
Yeah.
You're both out working, probably have kids, you're sports, you're on the go.
Yeah.
Monday or 7 days a week, probably nowadays. And someone that, I don't know, they just take charge of the finances, and the other one's like, oh, I trust you. It's good. Until unfortunately something happens. And I don't know, we've seen it so many times that just having that, again, open lines of communication, financial plan in place, kind of understanding what's out there. It's just so much more streamlined and efficient to have that conversation with the other spouse if something does happen. And they're aware of what's out there.
Yeah, exactly. Even if they're not in every single conversation, that's not what we're saying, but at least have a very good understanding. Come to the important meetings where it's an overview of everything like that. That is really important. So we're talking about how patience is really important. Most championships take patience over time, whether it's building that foundation, building the player development. How would you tie that back into investing or like financial planning as a whole? Like if there was one thing that you think is really important with patience over time, what would you point at?
I think it's kind of what you said a little while ago is there's no dumb questions. Everyone has a different understanding of everything. I mean, it could be sports, it could be anything in finance, it could be going to the doctor. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. And I think the more you're willing to ask questions, the more and willingness you are to be like educated about that topic, I think the better off you're going to be. I'm going to say like athletes, probably they're driven. Like they're just curious. Like they have goals. They want to get to that highest level possible. And they didn't get there by accident.
That's what I would say is probably one of the most important things is being open and being completely transparent about what your goals are. And if you have questions, so, we get questions all the time recently about AI. Should I be investing more in AI? What about private equity in these small companies? Maybe it doesn't make sense for that client, but it doesn't mean that that's not worth the conversation. So like reaching out and asking questions where you see news articles, we're all getting news pops up all the time. And yes, normally we say to ignore it, but if you have a question about it, reach out to your advisor and ask about it. Like I always think having that open communication is really, really, really important. And patience, obviously, over time, like small little tweaks can make a huge difference.
The financial planning, the investment, it's not set and forget.
Oh no, yeah.
It's an evolution. It's continuously being discussed, being looked at, making tweaks. I mean, it's ongoing. It's literally never ending.
Yeah. Same on the investing side. Yeah. Like, sure, this will be our target allocation just for easy. Say it's 70% stocks, 30% fixed income. If you never change that over time, over 10 years, that's probably going to go from 70% stocks to like 80% stocks or even more because stocks are going to outperform. You have to do that constant rebalancing, make little changes and have the patience over time. It sounds easy, but it's not, especially when you throw in emotions, but patience is really important. I mean, it's the same for us as big Penn State football fans. We're going to have to have patience with the new head coach over time. Like, we're going right back into it.
Yep.
You can't expect huge things right away.
So they say patience is a virtue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.